Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus, and it's time for our weekly live Q&A. And it is a little bit earlier than normal. I'm doing it a day early due to having a family commitment tomorrow that I want to be with my family. So decided I'd do it a day early. It's also a little bit of an experiment to see how things go on Saturdays anyway. So the aim of this show is I answer your questions that have been sent in by our Patreon and our YouTube channel members. So these have been sent in advance. Also, our YouTube channel members can join in live on the live chat. We can see quite a few people in there already. You see, we've got Matt, Baba Trolling, we've got Caleb, Sosuna, DJ Frosttop, and also Jonathan. So big hello to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. So yeah, it's always nice to see people in here as well. It's a different night than normal. So if you've got questions, you can also use the super chat function as well, or become a member. And aim is around about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on, until we run out of questions, really, or until basically my voice goes out. But yeah, so we've got lots of questions in here. So as per usual, what I tend to do is jump between the live ones and our pre-done questions. But I'm going to do kind of start off really with our kind of top story, really, which is Daniel says, do you think they will announce the Hulu buyout this weekend, since tomorrow is the 9th of 30th of September? With a couple ones like this one. So Dana says, so today is the end of year for Disney. Did they make the announcement that you thought they would, and that they would make the deal with Comcast, and now they own all of Hulu? So basically, what's going on today is today is the final day of Disney's financial year. So tomorrow is a brand new year in terms of money and stuff. As of yet, nothing has been announced. I don't think anything is going to happen now. I think it would have already happened by now. There is other issues with doing stuff on Saturdays and the weekends. Less press around. Also, Wall Street and stuff isn't really running the way it normally is. So in some ways, it's not a great day for doing any big announcements. Now, the reasons why I had a theory, and it looks like I was wrong on this one, that Disney might have ended up announcing that they were going to be buying out Comcast's stake today. That doesn't seem to be the case. Now, the other thing that came out with this one is due to recent speaking by the Comcast CEO, who said that they pulled forward the date. So back in 2019, when Disney purchased 20th Century Studios, Comcast and Disney did a deal where Disney would take control over Hulu, since they own 66%. Comcast would own 33%. They agreed that the value of Hulu was set at $27.5 billion. And in 2024, Comcast or Disney could force Disney to buy out the other person's stake. And so that would be the date we were looking for, was the beginning of 2024. The CEO from Comcast recently said that that's actually been pulled forward, and we've also seen a SEC filing. But I'm going to get into the SEC filing in a minute to kind of go into a little bit more detail. So the sort of agreement was in place that Disney would have to basically pay 33% of the minimum of $27.5 billion, or whatever Hulu was valued at. Now, Comcast values that Hulu much higher, and Disney thinks it's much lower. There's also some other clauses in the contract which states that if Comcast didn't keep funding Hulu, they would basically start reducing the amount of equity they owned in it. So every year, Disney and Comcast would have to put in a certain amount of money. Comcast did stop doing that. So Disney's had been funding Hulu the whole time, which has been meaning that Comcast's stake has been reducing. So there's a lot of kind of confusion online. I mean, a lot of people seem to think that Disney are paying Comcast $30 billion. That's not the case. They owe them somewhere between a minimum of 21% and 33% of that total value. So I'm going to bring up the screen here. So this was, I'm going to just bring this up here. I'll try and zoom in a little bit. It's a little bit, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So it does even for me to be able to see it. So this was an SEC filing that they put in. So this basically confirmed what I was just talking about here, whether the value is a minimum of 27.5 billion. And basically it means here, if the put call is exercised in November, so this is when they can do it. So under the agreement, in November, NBC has the option to acquire Disney to purchase, and Disney has the option. So that means that in terms of actually when it can happen, it is actually in November when they can pull forward the agreement. However, so how this is going to work is when that gets put in, the value of Hulu is determined on the date as of today. So what this means here is the value of Hulu is meant today. So that is going to be the key thing here. So going forward, if Disney does anything to change the value of Hulu, it won't make any difference with regards to the value that Hulu kicked in. The two parties will have to agree to a valuation. So they both put in their valuation of what they think it is. If it is within 10% of each other, they can then kind of come to a deal. If it's more than 10%, another third party will be brought in to come up with a fair advantage. So that basically, we've probably got a little bit longer to wait. So, but it now means I think now essentially things can start moving forward. I think they've already kind of come to some deals anyway, because I don't think they would have brought it forward by a few months had they not had agreement and putting it through the lawyers and all those. If they're only going to be pulling, there's a reason why they've done this. I think we could end up with an announcement on Monday. We could get an announcement in weeks, or we might have to wait until November till Disney announces they do. I suspect things are moving. They want to get this sorted. Disney want to get it sorted. Comcast want to get sorted. But the key issue here is today is the valuation point. So whatever Hulu is valued at as of today, that is what they're going to be pushing it forward with. So if Disney come out on Monday and say, we're merging in Disney Plus and Hulu together, that does not impact on the value that they've got to pay Comcast. They can start pulling content from Hulu. They can say they're not doing that. They can start making big changes from next week because it no longer impacts on the value that they're going to have to pay Comcast. So in some ways, it frees Disney up to do some different things with Hulu, and they can start making some announcements. They can start changing things because they have said in the past that by the end of this year, Hulu content will be available within Disney Plus. Now, they've been very vague on how this is all going to work. It's part of their one app experience. So they want to make the Hulu content in there. So if you're a Hulu subscriber, you will be able to get access to Disney Plus content in the US. Obviously, internationally, like in Canada, Australia, and here in Europe, we don't have to worry about any of that because most of the Hulu content is also available in Disney Plus. There's some licensed stuff that is on Disney and on Hulu in the US that not everyone gets. We're also seeing Hulu kind of getting rid of some licensed content. Things are expiring. There's some things expiring later, like today, that would be interesting to see if it goes. I think like the VH1 area might be completely gone. There might be some WWE stuff that might go. There's been like imming and ahhing or whether like that's going to go. But yeah, there's a whole host of 20th Century Studio stuff that might disappear, but it's very tricky. But as I said, today is the big day in terms of the valuation of Hulu. This is going to be a big thing. So let's I just want to bring up here. Let's have a look at Matt asks in our super chat. So huge thank you for your support. Really makes a big difference, especially with the way that the algorithms are and like advertising and stuff. Your support really does make a massive difference. That's away from all of that, and that is amazing. So Matt says Hulu will fully emerge with in February of 2024. I think we're gonna see a little bit of a slower rollout because it's a little bit more complicated with the Hulu situation. This whole thing is called Project Hulk. That's what it's called, the code name. There's been some little hints and stuff online from some of the people running the company that I think something is coming pretty soon. And like I said, the fact that the valuation point is of today, that means for whatever they do after today, the value of Hulu does not change what they're going to pay Comcast. So they can do some bits and pieces. So if they want to put Hulu onto, like if they rebranded Star onto Hulu on Monday, that does not affect the valuation of what they've got to pay Comcast. So this is where things could get very interesting. We've already seen in India, they put a Hulu hub in, they quickly whipped it out. So yeah, we could start seeing some changes. Maybe if they sell the Star brand in India and therefore they get rid of it, we could start seeing some major changes. I think now it opens the door with that valuation point being as of today. No more, it is going to make a big difference, I think, moving forward. We might have to wait until they officially. I suspect things are moving along and they've kind of got deals and stuff in place, and we're at a point now where things can move on. So any day now we could have an announcement in the next month where things are moving around a bit. So that will be, I think, a key thing. I think we're likely to see the Hulu content added in the US. Probably more likely is going to be in December, and when it gets this stuff sorted a little bit more. And I think it's going to be a little bit more like with the Showtime merger, where if you've got both, I mean, luckily, obviously, your Hulu account is your Disney account anyway, so that makes life a lot easier. And basically, if you're a Hulu subscriber or a Disney bundle subscriber, you'll be able to access that content in Disney Plus. I think that's going to, and then eventually they'll do the full merger when things have maybe settled down, when people have got more used to it. Obviously, American audiences are a little bit different than it is internationally. There was a little bit of a pushback, and you still see it every now and again. Like when they do like this past weekend, a poster for the new Colleen Rooney show in the UK came up, and people go, "Isn't Disney Channel? Isn't it a Disney Channel?" It's like, no, it's been like this for 3 years. We know, but you're always going to have little things that people assuming that with Disney Plus. It's a very interesting thing of how all this comes together. Let's see here. Jonathan says, I want MASH to be added to Disney Plus as long as it's on Hulu in the US. I know it's available on Disney Plus. I think it's Australia. I think they have it. DJ Frost Top says, I can't wait till Disney Plus and Hulu are just in one app. Yeah, I think it's going to be really good for Disney Plus in the US to finally unleash its potential, to release it's basically been handcuffed. But in the US, it hasn't been able to grow to a certain point because it's not been allowed. It just hasn't been able to move on to that step. Disney had to push so much stuff over to Hulu and keep that thing going in order to keep some lawsuits and keep Hulu running. That when everything's combined, Disney Plus is going to get a flurry of content that's going to, at the minute, you definitely see this with the US audience, very different to here, like in the UK, of the idea of it's just Marvel and Star Wars. Well, here in the UK, it's not just Star Wars, and we're getting Only Murders in the Building. We're getting, Futurama. We get Welcome to Wrexham. We get the Emilio Show. We get the Kardashians. These are just new shows this week. We get loads of new content and stuff dropping. So it's a much more rounded streaming service. It's less reliant just on Marvel and Star Wars. I think there's another key element with Disney Plus having access to this Hulu content of. Suddenly then it's not just about this just one or two shows. You've got more content in there, things to watch. More people in the family can watch stuff because if you're in there in the evening and you want to watch something, you've got different choices and stuff. And I think it's going to make a big difference to how people view Disney Plus, or when it's got much more general entertainment content in there to keep you entertained. And I think that's and all the price rises and everything that they're doing. Unfortunately, they're getting things ready for when things merge. It doesn't look so bad, but obviously at the minute that they keep raising the price of Disney Plus, because here in the UK when they did it, we added the Star thing and they did it all, but it's a much more complicated with the Hulu thing. So Suna says, can't wait till they merge into one app. I must be honest, I can't wait as well. So I did a poll as well. So I asked you guys, when do you think Disney will buy out Comcast stake? 54% of you said October, 13 November, 17% of you said December, and 16% said for January. Kaylee said, I picked October because I believe that Hulu and ESPN won't be accessible on Disney Plus until December, and they will need time to do a smooth transition. Yeah, I think that's definitely, I think December seems to be but also they need to advertise it. They're going to need to kind of, and I think now with this date from today being the valuation day, it means on Monday, if they were to announce on Monday a big plan of going, look, we're going to be completing the purchase, we're going to be doing this. In December, we'll be rolling it out. They're going to need to do advertising campaigns. They're going to need to do emails. They're going to need to do social media, and they're going to need to get America ready. Be it 6 to 8 weeks away, they're going to have to start getting America ready for what's happening to get people used to it. We're seeing it already with them kind of blurring the lines with some of the shows. Start putting Disney Plus stuff on Hulu. Maybe also putting the Hulu stuff more on Disney Plus. Start moving some shows over. Start getting people aware of that it's coming in. Maybe add in ESPN Plus. Maybe they can do that earlier. That could be something that they could maybe do, because I think that would be a neat thing as well. I'm going to do that one. I'm just going to keep on the Hulu situation. Just looking here. Barbara Charling says, I think Disney will buy out Hulu, which will take a few months because it's not as simple as a little business deal. I think you're right in terms of like it might take a few months, but I think they do seem to have got a very simple system of valuation A, B. If not, it goes out to for valuation of, and you've got to imagine that over the last 4 years, they have ironed out a lot of this stuff already. I suspect they've already had their meetings. They've already got a lot of this stuff sorted. They know it's coming. Comcast wants the money. Comcast wants to get, they all just want to get this stuff done. It's been hanging over them for so long. It's still going to take a little bit of time to get through, but I do think it's going to come in. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, Chris says, do you think Hulu Live will merge into Disney Plus? This is the tricky one. I don't know if Hulu Live TV is going to just carry on as its own separate app and be like its own separate thing, and then all the on-demand system is just in there. So maybe like you can access Disney Plus content, if it, or all of that within the single app. Or are they just going to completely redo Disney Plus app with Hulu Live TV in? Or are they going to sell off Hulu Live TV? Are they just going to sell that to Comcast, maybe to YouTube TV, and just get out of that whole business? I don't know. It's very tricky with Hulu Live TV. Makes it a much more complicated system. It's very, very tricky. So we're gonna end that poll now. Let's do another thing of let's do a Hulu Live question, shall we? So what do you think? I can spell properly now. Do you think Disney will do with Hulu Plus Live TV? So one app. So that's one app, or just for everything. Sell it or separate app. Let's see where we go with that one. Okay, so let's now jump into do a couple more questions. So Mamad says, with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame being live streamed on Disney Plus, do you think we'll see the Academy Awards next year be streamed on both Disney Plus and ABC? Depends on their contract. It depends on what they can do, because they've not done it in the past. I think it would make sense for them to do it, especially if it's all I'm kind of thinking this is I'm in this zone really now, thinking that everything from 2024 onwards, everything's going to be within Disney Plus anyway. But I don't know. It's going to be tricky. I think I would imagine. I would hope so. Tim says, do you think Goosebumps will work if it goes on Disney Plus and Hulu? I think it's a good way of doing it, making sure it gets more viewership. It kind of works in a couple of ways. First off, it gets Hulu subscribers used to the idea that they're going to have access to Disney content. Disney people get used to seeing the Hulu logo. It gets more viewers. I think, to be honest, it's a win-win-win. I don't see there being any negative for any of that. It says, with tomorrow being the first day of Disney's fiscal year 2024, what do you think will happen during the first quarter? So I think the first quarter is going to be all about sorting out the Comcast to Hulu deal. I think that's the core thing. Get that information out there, get that one sorted. I think as well as it's going to allow them, when they do the essentially, maybe not then, at some point in the next year, they're going to be able to like merge the numbers together. So that might help. Whether or not they get a little boost from this promotion that they've done in September, the $2 deal, that might help give them some subscribers. But I think we're just going to see maybe a bit more of an outline of where Disney is going with its streaming services at the next quarterly results, because they can talk maybe about the Hulu situation, talk about the Spectrum and cable system, and kind of just say where they're going with it all. Babek says, with tomorrow being the last day of the month, could we expect an announcement regarding it? I was hoping it's going to be today. I think we're way past it now. I think it would have, if it was going to happen, it would have happened this afternoon for me. But 8 o'clock on a Saturday evening is not a good time to put out a big announcement, unless they were trying to bury it. But I don't think they really want to bury it. Tim says, when could we see the trailer for the Australian series The Artful Dodgers? So this is coming out at the end of November. I'd probably say end of October, maybe beginning of November. There's always this kind of weird thing with TV of this idea that you get the trailers out really early and I'm not sure. I think in some ways that attention spans now are much shorter. And I think it's much better just to be like, here's this new show and it's coming out in 2 weeks or a week's time. And you do all your attentions on just trying to get people to watch it because it's coming soon. And it is coming soon. I don't think showing trailers 3 to 4 to 6 months. It's like the same thing with films. I wouldn't, I don't see the point of showing a teaser trailer 8 months away. I don't think that really helps a lot. I don't know. That's just my own feeling on that one. Matt says, I see we're getting the Airbud movies in collection. Yes, so that's dropping tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how all that works together. Babak says, do you think that Deadpool will still arrive on time given the strikes? So I think if the strikes get resolved, because they start talking on Monday, so I'm really, really hoping that they get the deal sorted and they do the same thing where they do day after day meetings, get that thing knocked out, get that one really, I think get that sorted. I think that's a good thing that they could do. I think Deadpool 3 is going to take the July Captain America release date, and Captain America is going to push back into Thunderbolt's release date. I think we'll see a little bit of a bump. Let's jump now into the live chat. So Kaylee says, I agree with you that attention spans are shorter. I think that's why a lot of wrestling fans think Roman Reigns' title reign is annoying. It is very strange with the Roman Reigns title reign. I am at that point now where I think they've pushed it too far. I do think they should. I think it would probably been right had they just done title change at last year's or at WrestleMania. I'm at that point now where I think the Bloodline, they have just used it too much. That's my personal. I am at that point now. It's like seeing like John Cena and LA Knight last night with the brother, and it's like, oh, here we go. It's just like, I'm kind of getting a little bit bored of that whole storyline. Kelly says, I do like the Toy Story themed promos for the alternate cast. So this is happening tomorrow. It's happening in the morning in the US. In the UK, it's in the afternoon. So it's the Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this is a live game from Wembley Stadium. So they're going to be doing a special simulcast on Disney Plus, at least here in the UK and in America, of like a Toy Story version where they're going to be recreating it and have like Toy Story stuff. There's going to be quizzes when the adverts are on. Going to be really interesting to see how this goes on. I'm going to be trying to catch some of this. I want to watch the game anyway because it's at a decent time. I'm going to see how this one works. I had thought about going up to see the game or the one next week, but the cost is just getting to London, and there's lots of we've got train strikes, so it's really difficult to get up to London sometimes. And I think this weekend there is one, so it makes it really tricky. But interesting to see how it goes. I'll be honest, I'll be watching the main. I get what they're trying to do, of trying to get kids to watch it and get interested into football. But I don't know if sitting them down for a 3-hour video, for a 3-hour animated thing, is it going to be good enough to keep their attention span? I don't know. I think it's going to be tricky, but it's a good thing altogether. Kelly says, I know what I really want to say, but what's on Disney Plus is a family show, so I'm controlling myself. So I do think many NFL fans have lost their way since so many are miserable. It's weird with the NFL because I think it's like anything, isn't it? I think I don't know if it's like if you need more championships or more than that, because it's all very much like everything's just focused on the Super Bowl. Like here in the UK, we have like different clubs and different like trophies and stuff, and it doesn't feel the same way with the American football one. Babatronic says, do you think Disney will use the Hulu live streaming technically for ESPN streaming service? I think they could do. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this comes together with ESPN. Matt says, when will we see the Multiverse collection on Disney Plus? It's strange that they've not got it already, but we've not really explored it much really yet, have we? We've only really got Miss Marvel, and because it kind of went into Multiverse. There's really only like Loki and Multiverse. Maybe they need a little bit more in there. Ricardo says, hello, Roger. Some ABC shows were added to ABC, so Prime Video on Germany, and described as ABC TV shows. So there could be a sign that the channel name could be used in some way internationally. Yeah, I think it is strange how they've been putting on them in as ABC TV shows. Maybe they are going to use that ABC brand a little bit more. I think some of it as well is just like extra money. Disney's, I can see Bob Iger's looking at some of these like 20th television assets and just kind of thinking, they're not connected to Disney. We can make a little bit of extra cash on them. I know, like down in Latin America, they've licensed out a load of shows. Here in the UK, like Channel 4 has got a load of shows as well. I think they're just looking at just a little bit of extra cash. I think this is very short term. I think they're just taking a little bit of extra cash just to get things off their things. Ricardo says, I was surprised to see them on Prime Video in the US that some deleted Disney Plus movies are now being able to rent, however, not available in English or other languages. It was a bit of a surprise. I'm surprised they didn't do it earlier. You can definitely see that they've cherry-picked some of the best films, and I think it's good. I know it's this kind of thing, if it sucks, that fact that these films were completely removed and no one could watch them. So I do like the fact that they're at least there to buy it or rent if you wanted them. Obviously, the counter argument is, well, we've paid our subscription, we should have access to them. They shouldn't have deleted them. But that $2 billion, you can see why they did it. I think ultimately, in the long run, if they make some shows and films available to at least buy and rent, or they put them on another platform, that's better than them just living on a hard drive, never to be seen again. It's a bad situation all the way around. And as I was alluding to with this Hulu situation, I do feel like this has been the big problem for Disney Plus, was they were trying to recreate shows for Disney Plus that Hulu was already getting that were good enough, and the trying to keep things family friendly. I don't think the world is quite in the same zone as it used to be. I think shows like Turner and Hooch and Big Shot are just too generic and vanilla to push through the cracks now. Kids and teenagers want stuff much more edgy and much more interesting than that. Families don't sit together and watch TV in the same way. Yeah, and I don't know. It just feels like that one didn't quite work together. Let's see what else we've got here. Mama says, when do you think they'll start announcing Hulu originals going to both Disney Plus and Hulu? And do you think it will be before or after the one-app experience? I'm kind of torn. On one hand, I think it would be great if they started like getting Disney Plus fans used to seeing some more mature content quicker. But also, I can't help but feel like maybe Disney want you to be paying for that Hulu content. I don't know. It's a catch-22. I personally feel like, if they could start adding in some films and stuff over the next, and just start adding stuff in and kind of getting people ready for it. I think that's probably the best thing. Tim says, with American Horror Story Season 11 coming to Disney Plus in Australia in October, is an old contract coming to the end with Foxtel and Binge? I think it's probably more that because Binge is still on Binge, that show. And it is a year old. It's not like it's American season. It's not like season 12. So they're just getting last year's season. So maybe like the exclusivity has run out and stuff. It's a bit weird. Again, there's some weird stuff with FX happening in Australia, and there's some weird stuff with FX stuff that happens in Canada. And even here in the UK, we get some weird stuff with some of the FX shows of where some of them would go to the BBC. There's a weird FX is a bit messy in terms of distribution. Mamo says, will the Airbud movie only be released in the US? Because I read that the movies were distributed internationally by other companies. Yeah, so they're all over the place. I think tomorrow morning when they go live, we're just going to have to see if this happens. And that reminds me, I need to put together an article for tomorrow. But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely going to be... I feel like it's 50-50 of whether or not we get them. Because here in the UK, and they're not streaming anywhere else. And I also wouldn't be at all surprised if it was a global deal that's non-exclusive. Kelly said, after the WGA got their deal with the studios, could you see SAG-AFTRA get a similar deal? Would be nice if the strike ended before my birthday. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping next week that they're going to just crack on for 5 days, get this deal done, sorted. I think there's going to be some stuff from the Writers Guild that will fall over onto the actors' side a little bit better. Some of the protections with AI, there's some extra stuff that actors need protection from. I definitely agree with the fact of, if you're being paid to be in a film or a series, you're being paid for that show or that film. You're not giving up your license and likeness for the rest of eternity. I don't think that's fair at all. So, if you're an actor and you appear in, I don't know, like Barbie 2 or something like that, shouldn't be able to be appearing in as many films as Warner Brothers wants. I don't think that's right. So I think that's good to get sorted. I think that'll be easier for them to do. I think the data has already been kind of sorted out from WGA, so they'll get a similar deal. I think a residuals deal will be, again, based on what they've done with the WGA, and I think that's probably it'll be a bit more. I think it'll be a bit more money. I do think it'll be a lot easier for them. Babak says, what other award show do you think Disney should air? I'm gonna be honest. Award shows are dull. Award shows are boring. I don't think people really care about award shows anymore. There's too many of them. No one wants, I always like, if you've got an award show and you've got a good performance or the, most of the time it's like with the Oscars, you only really care about who wins the main one and like the opening monologue. You think of like most of the they're just too long-winded. I don't think people really care the same way. Again, shorter attention spans. Why bother? You don't need to know all this stuff. You just get a tweet come up or a little, and any clips and anything that's any of value is going to be on social media within minutes. Why sit through like a 3-4 hour presentation where they're all just patting each other on the back when you can just get like the quick information really quick? Matt says, do you think we'll get more legacy content on Disney Plus? We're going to continue to get legacy content. I think we'll be getting that monthly. You can just definitely tell they hit the big red button to save money. They were like panic, boop, and they just stopped everything. It does feel like things are starting to flow a little bit more. We've had the shorts, we've got the Airbud movies tomorrow. I think we are. It's just not anywhere near where we thought they would be. I mean, it is that kind of thing of there's so much in the Disney vault that they could use. There's so many films from 20th century that they're not using. It just feels a shame that they're not using it. Right. So that is all the pre-done questions. So now we're just going to carry on with the live ones. So I'm just going to go through. So if you've got live questions, feel free to keep sending them in. So Matt says, what do you think of the football game with Toy Story tomorrow? I'm going to check it out. I'll give it a go, see what it's like. But I want to watch the game anyway. So it's a bit like I kind of want to. It's fine. I just find it very weird of like, is this your way of, if you're trying to get your kid into football, it's probably going to happen. I think they're just trying to experiment because they want to try and get new kids into the NFL. Personally, if I think the best way is actually maybe getting out there your kids and playing it or playing Madden or something like that. It'll be all right. Matt says, what's going to happen with Star? I'm guessing Star Plus in Latin America. I think eventually that's going to merge all in with Disney Plus. I think they're making changes already down there. I think they know that and also with the US, once they've got with the US there, I think they'll just move it all in and just get things sorted. I think it'll be easier. I'm just going to do a quick look at this Hulu app. So 54% of you think Hulu Live TV is going to be all within one big app. 23% of you think it's going to be sold, and the same think it's going to be a separate app. So a little bit split. Barbara Trolling says, I think Disney will buy Hulu and will take a few months because it's not yet. So we did that one. Matt says, do you think Disney Plus around the world want the same shows or some shows or exclusive? I think in general, the big core titles, things that come like Marvel, Star Wars, the Disney Channel stuff, the Only Murders in the Building, those kind of things are global releases. They go around the world. When you can be in Spain and you can have posters up for like, the major movies and the major shows and stuff. Because when I was out there earlier this year in Italy and in Spain and France, the Little Mermaid posters were everywhere. Those kind of things have global appeal. I think like Korean dramas and anime and stuff is a niche market, but it's also a niche market that sells better globally. Korean shows are watched globally. You've also got this, like a French drama series can be watched by people, but it's less. I think it's less popular than like Korean content. Anime works a lot better, I think, because of its like. I think animation just travels better. I think that's a key thing with animation. I definitely think that's a key thing. But yeah, overall, I think there is some stuff that maybe works better in some countries, and I think that's where Disney are pinpointing what works. I find it very interesting as well that Disney's not really, I would say, like really leaned in on its Indian content, like its Bollywood stuff just yet. I don't know if that might change or what they're planning on doing. Just a bit interesting of how that's all going to work. Chris says, do you think Hulu Live will merge into Disney Plus? I think so. Let's see here. Matt says, what type of show would you like to see on Disney Plus that's new, not a remake? I think to me, there's a thing with Disney Plus right now. There's a whole like host of content that it just doesn't seem to offer. Um, like here in the UK, we don't really have game shows. I mean, I don't know if game shows work like internationally and globally and stuff. Generally, they're a lot more local. I was just watching a new show on BBC tonight, Picture Slam or something like that with Alan. You know, game shows, talk. I mean, I'm surprised like we don't get a talk show. I like the idea of when we had like the Disney Insider like show and the Disney Insider like having a weekly like update kind of thing. I thought that was good. A soap. I mean, we have massively popular soaps here in the UK, like EastEnders and Coronation Street. I know in the US they have like General Hospital and stuff, but like that whole show format doesn't seem to get used the same way now. They're so popular with like older ones, but like younger people don't seem to respond to them the same way. So like a daily soap, I don't know, that just doesn't feel like that's something that we see so much anymore. Like I say, like getting something like Good Morning America, but maybe do something. I don't know if you can do it globally, but at the same time make these a little bit more global friendly, because sometimes they can be a little bit like US focused, which can be a little bit annoying. I do think just a little bit more choice, a little bit more like reality TV. I feel like Disney Plus is it's kind of got into this thing of, I think again, American. It's like Disney Channel, National Geographic, and Marvel and Star Wars seem to be the only thing you've got, and it's very restrictive. It's been quite nice, like this week, like watching like Welcome to Wrexham and Kardashians and the Emilio Show and Only Murders in the Building, and we've got like Ahsoka, got all these different kind of things, and it's great having just choice. So Suna says, what shows do you think they'll add when Hulu and Disney Plus merge in December? So I think you're going to get pretty much most of the stuff that like we've got internationally from 20th Century Studios, ABC, FX, all that kind of stuff that Disney owns, I would say is a shoo-in. That's definitely going to be in there. So you definitely get that in there. Those are the key ones. I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky with some of the licensed content. Maybe some of the stuff from NBC might not go over. Maybe some of the other stuff. I don't know about the Fox stuff. The Fox, that could be interesting to see how that lines up, because they have got to deal with them. So yeah, so I would say safely that anything that's like, again, the Disney Studios or is on a long-term contract is something much more likely. Babatronic says, do you think Disney has already brought Hulu and they'll tell us on the quarter-free call? They could do. I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if on Monday we get it. I think it could come any day in the next 4 weeks or 6, any day in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to hear about it. Matt says, do you think they should sell their stake in A&E? I think so, because I'm looking at it now going, just if you need some money to sort this stuff out, that is an asset which doesn't look like it's doing. It might be making some money on the back end that we don't really see, but it does feel a little bit like that is an asset that doesn't really seem to be value core anymore. Hi to you, Ryan. Thank you very much for coming in. Yeah, I think your internet must be playing up. It's coming in and out. Kenneth says the Hollywood strikes weren't for nothing since it made a difference. I remember Anil Kapoor used litigation in India to put his likeness from AI. Many actors in India are going to follow suit. I think the AI stuff is going to be very important for the future. You don't want, if in the future you don't want to be making a film and then they can just bringing anybody. The families and the things should be able to do that. I think that's right that they do, that they have control over your license. So I think that's definitely something. I do think the strikes, there are going to be consequences that are going to have a problem with this strike. I think we're going to see a lot less shows. I think we're going to see that anyway, but we're going to see a lot less. We're not going to be seeing the amount of shows that we've had over the last 3 to 5 years. We're going to see probably half the amount of shows. We're going to really see a big difference. We're probably going to see shorter seasons. I think we're just going to see a lot less. So the writers that are in there now, they're going to be fine. The ones that are doing well, but I think it's going to get a lot harder for them to get in. Kelly says, speaking of live shows, did you catch the live version of Dancing with the Stars on Tuesday night? It was mostly an ABC simulcast on ABC. One thing I noticed were most of the ads were 1080p, or some were 8. Yeah, so I think this is probably what they will like with Dancing with the Stars, is now it's simulcast on Disney Plus and the ad tier working, because you got to remember this time last year the ad tier wasn't in the US. So now they can do the simulcast with ads. It makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't you? But to be honest, I was just watching a little bit of Strictly Come Dancing before it came on. My guess is Disney Plus will add some ads in 1080p since they were blacked out local ads from ABC, and since ABC generally has local ad placement to promote the late local news. Well, also, I would imagine with those shows as well that each individual station is then sort of putting their own adverts in. I don't know how that works and stuff. Matt says, what countries could Disney Plus launch in? So they've still got a lot of countries in Africa, Vietnam, still got other countries and stuff to sort out, like with I think some of the countries in Caribbean haven't actually got Star. They didn't get Star Plus and they didn't get Star either. So maybe that will get sorted when Disney Plus sorts itself out in the US. I don't know if they're going to be in a rush to do this stuff. I feel like they pretty much hit again the big red button to stop launches. I think they're not just chasing subscribers that don't make him money. I think they don't want to spend that money to get subscribers that aren't doing it. I mean, you would think it would make sense just to try and launch in as many countries as you can, get as many subscribers as you can, and if it's expensive in that region, but it's what they need, then there's going to have to be some little bit of adjustments. But maybe they've just changed their strategy. And I think there's a kind of a way forward for them to kind of keep moving forward. It is a surprise it's not launched in more places in Africa yet. Chris says, why is the West Coast Dancing with the Stars not aired live on Disney Plus? And when we got to see it, the voting already closed. Why can't we see it live? I believe it was streamed live. It was 5 o'clock. Maybe I thought it was just live on Disney Plus full stop. So I didn't hear anyone saying about that there. What time did you tune in? Because I know it's 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So not sure, but maybe that's a bit weird because it was supposed to be, even in the press release, they were talking about the fact that people could vote on both sides and stuff. So Suni says, do you think they'll do shows like a lot of Elementary or Modern Family? So I think both those shows will be on there when they do the Hulu thing anyway, because they're both ABC stuff. I think sitcoms is a very tricky situation with sitcoms now. Now, I am a big lover of US sitcoms. I don't feel like we've really got that many anymore. The days when you used to have Frasier and Cheers and Seinfeld and Friends and Will and Grace, and there was just multiple sitcoms like Don't Shoot Me, King of Queens. We just had Everyone Loves Raymond. I mean, I used to love all of these. I used to watch all, and nowadays you kind of think, what have we got like that? There hasn't really been anything like that. Modern Family is a show that I love. I love Abbott Elementary, but Abbott Elementary is like one of the few ones that are out now, and comedy's tricky. I think comedy is something that's not I don't think they can. What's funny is not working the same globally. Everyone's like, I think the way that portraying stuff as well doesn't necessarily work globally and stuff. It is, it's a very tricky thing. I think because comedy's in a weird situation. Matt says, could we see an international collection on Disney Plus? I would imagine they do need to do some kind of better collections. We've got like the UK collection and we've got an Asian Spotlight collection. I think they are going to, hopefully when the new Disney Plus kind of app like updates and stuff, maybe get some new genres, some new collections and stuff. I don't think international originals, I think breaking it down a little bit more is a little bit better. Like European originals, British originals, Australian, like Latin America. I think just chucking everything into international is quite weird in some ways, because there is not really, a British comedy like Extraordinary is nothing like Moving from Korea or, like a Latin. They're very different shows, and they also reach I would say as well, an English-speaking show from Australia and the UK and Canada is going to have a much larger appeal, if for Disney Plus as a whole. Matt says, when Disney Plus merges with Hulu, what kind of hubs would you like to see? I'd like to see, 20th Century, Searchlight, Octave Collective, FX, ESPN, maybe like launching into its own little like sub area with all the ESPN live stuff. I would carry on with maybe a Star or some kind of a generic hub like Star where they can put all the licensed stuff. Maybe they're going to need like a Fox hub for the Fox stuff in the US. Yeah, I think just more of that stuff. It seems to make a lot of sense to me. I think, or you click on Hulu and then you go in there and then you get all the other, like, you get like the I don't know. I think in some ways I don't really like it with the Star Hub where it is. I think it'd be much nicer to have an array of networks kind of thing rather than, or brands. I think that would make more sense. I don't think like having like maybe an ABC one. I don't think like Freeform needs its own one. Kayla said there's a possibility that Disney could license Disney Plus to a local streamer in certain countries. I know Paramount Plus and Peacock are licensed. I think we're going to see more likely going to be like a bundle situation where if you've got like Sky, you get Disney Plus included in your bundle because they're not having the Disney channels. I could see them doing like what they've done with Spectrum, where they start like putting the bundles in. I think we're going to start seeing that because I think what they're going to do is this is going to be their way of boosting the ad tier. I think we're going to be moving into a new territory where we're going to have access to ad versions of more apps, and we're going to have to sit for it. So it's like here in the UK, if we ended up like with Sky and you've got like Paramount with ads and Peacock with ads and HBO with ads and Netflix with ads and Disney Plus with ads, and you're paying it as a bundle and you're getting that, I think that could work quite well for some people. And then you maybe upgrade if you wanted to. But I would imagine if I could get all those, and you get, I don't know, even maybe Amazon, I don't know if they, or Apple Plus or something like that. If you had like 7 or 8 of those apps, but all of ads, and it was all included with your internet provider, and you still had cable or satellite, and you got a discount on it, I think people would be much. I think we're in this weird, awkward stage right now where the audience hasn't kind of adjusted to the idea of what Netflix used to be to what streaming is going to become. I think we're very much in a weird stage where, the bygone days of Netflix being cheap and ad free, it's gone, and we're going to be moving into like multiple platforms with ads, and yeah, I think that's going to be how it's going to go. Chris says it was not aired live. It was not able to be streamed here till 8 p.m. Pacific. That's odd. That is odd because that went right against the what the press release said, which is really weird because that again goes right against what it said that they were doing. And it would make sense that everyone would want to get it out there as much as they would. You would think that would make the most amount of sense. And again, here in the UK, it was like 2:00 in the morning, so I wasn't staying up to watch that. I mean, if I'm not staying up to watch Ahsoka, there's no way I'm staying up to watch Dancing with the Stars. Matt says, I hope they make Rookie season 6 next year. They haven't decided anything like that. I think some of these shows are. I think Disney are going to trim off a load of the general entertainment stuff like this. I think they're going to really clear house on some of these shows, and also like with the Rookie. ABC's paying for it, but they haven't got global rights to it, so I don't see why they would want it. Babatronic says, do you think Warner Brothers Discovery needs a new CEO because David Zaslav is a problem for their PR? He seems to have settled down a little bit lately. I think I don't think in all honesty the shareholders, as long as they're making money and all the people on the board are making money, I don't think they really care about what we think. And I think that's a key thing. They've got to make money. So Matt says, could you see other streaming services? Could you see the other streaming services be sold or fold? I think we're going to see some shift. I think we've just seen AMC Plus add an ad version. I think AMC is going to end up at some point closing. I think all these ones like Acorn and some of those ones are going to end up going. I think Stars is going to end up getting. They're separating it from the company to sell it, but I don't think anyone's going to want to buy it, and I don't think it's got a good enough content to keep that one going. I think we're going to end up seeing probably MGM Plus. I think they're going to end up moving that into Amazon. I think they're going to realize that that's not really working. Kenny said you could say the same for the Disney needing a new CEO due to PR, but neither Disney nor Warner Brothers have their business booming. If the problem is right now is everyone is looking for a quick fix. Everyone is wanting them to fix all the problems and the trouble is some of these problems can't be fixed overnight. Some of them are going to take years. Some of them as well, the problem to somebody in one place doesn't necessarily think the same problem. So there's a load of Star Wars fans right now where they would be like, you need to get rid of everybody and just sell it on to somebody else because it's rubbish for Disney. And then you got a whole host of other Star Wars fans that love what they're doing. You're never going to please everyone, and no business can. It's just a simple thing. You just want to please more than you don't. Changing Iger right now would be, I think it would be a massive mistake because they need foresight. They need a plan. They need to move forward on the plan, and they need to get it pushed in. And I think at the minute they're kind of in a juggling act of trying to keep like what's happening now and where they're going in the future. I think that's a bit tricky. I think the stability of having, like, we know Iger's going to be around for everyone's, dumping on Disney because they're bumbling all over the place, and a lot of it is just, I think, trying to find the right spot of where they are and where they're going to. All the studios are doing it, but Iger, he was like before, obviously, the whole pandemic and JPEG and stuff. He was the golden guy, and he did everything, and everyone loved it. Well, now he's in the he spent too much money, and now he's having to fix stuff. And I don't think they ever really utilized. A lot of this stuff seems to be fixing a lot of the issues from buying 20th Century Fox, and it's just taking so long for them to do it. They've not really, I don't think, used the assets of 20th Century Fox properly. They've not been, maybe things start shifting around a little bit moving forward, but we've hardly seen any decent movies coming out of them. The TV shows, some of them have been good, but again, they're splintered all over the place. I don't think they've really been able to use it very much. Matt says, could you see when Disney and Hulu merges with Disney Plus, they could get rid of some shows to make some more money? I think they're going to get rid of some shows. I think they're going to get rid of a load of licensed content easily. Okay, so I feel the only reason Vince resigned last summer was because business was booming and the business was strictly resting. And yeah, I think that was it. I think that was a key thing. Right. On that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. So again, this was a one-off. Next week, we'll be back to Sundays as usual. I'll be back on Monday with some new Disney Plus news. On that, big thank you to everyone that was in the live chat. So big hello to Caleb, Matt, Baba Trolling, Matt. Also got Sosuna, Chris. I'm just going to keep going up there. We've got Ryan. So a big thank you to everyone that was in here. Ricardo, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you to everyone. Again, thank you for all of your supports. Thank you for continuing to do that. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. And I shall see you tomorrow. Or latest, not tomorrow, Monday. See you later. Bye.